What's good YouTube, Akil here, back with another video, and today I'm going to be sharing some sales from eBay from over the past few days. And my sales this week have been pretty solid, so I'm going to be sharing a lot of items that I picked up just over the past few days in some of these trips to the thrifts, because some of these items that I picked up sold really quickly, and that's a really good thing for me, because usually since I'm pricing my items a little more expensive nowadays instead of like the lower end of the comps, I'm starting to wait a little longer and just practice more patience on finding the right buyer. But lately my sales have been picking up, so if you guys haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and without further ado, let's get into it. Alright y'all, so starting things off with one of my favorite stuff to sell is this pair of Bose double cube speakers, and these are actually for the Acoustimass, and I pick these up pretty often, at least maybe 2 to 3 times a week. I'll find some of these Bose speakers. If not these exact type, I always find at least some kind of Bose speakers. Even the portable sound docks, find those pretty often. These usually always sell for me around 60 bucks plus shipping, sometimes a little more if it's in really good condition or if it has the mount attached to it as well. But this pair in particular was in really good shape, no rips or tears in any of the mesh, so I was able to price this on the higher end, and it sold within about 2 to 3 days, so really quick sale for me. Next up, we got this Nintendo GameCube receiver for the Wavebird, and the Wavebird was basically just like Nintendo GameCube's first like wireless controllers. If you can find the Wavebird controller, those sell for like 80-90 bucks, sometimes even 100 based on the condition, but just the receiver alone sells for 50 bucks, only because it's so rare and you can barely find these. If you guys follow the channel, you guys know I tend to find a Nintendo Wii or maybe like a PS3. I find those all the time. Even the original Xbox, I find those a couple times a week. But I've only found one Nintendo GameCube the entire time I've been thrifting, and anytime I find like GameCube controllers, they're usually aftermarket stuff. So GameCube as a whole, they just didn't make that many of them, so it's kind of rare. So if you find anything GameCube related, especially if it's genuine GameCube stuff, definitely pick it up. And I almost forgot to mention the best part, the fact that this sold for 50 bucks. I only spent $1 on this, so this was a really good pickup. Next up, we got a pair of these Skechers, and these, I usually don't pick up Skechers shoes anymore, mainly because the condition, unless it's a really good pair and it's practically brand new, but a lot of the Skechers shoes, they tend to crumble, so I usually pass on them. But this pair of rollerblades definitely stood out to me because I didn't even know Skechers made rollerblades, and this pair sold for 70 bucks plus $12 shipping. Mine wasn't in the best condition, it definitely had some cracks and stuff like that, so I wasn't able to price it on the higher end. But if you guys come across some of these that's in better shape, you can definitely fetch close to like 80 to 100 bucks for these. But I'm definitely still happy with this pair, especially since I was able to charge shipping for this item as well, and I think I spent 6 bucks on these skates. Next up, selling something that came out of my personal inventory. This is actually the Blue Yeti microphone. This is what I used to use for my live shows and just any of the voiceovers that I do for trip to the thrift videos. But since then, I recently upgraded to the Shure MV7, so I'll link that in the description in case you guys are interested in that. Put like an Amazon affiliate link for you guys. Since I've upgraded this one, I decided to just go ahead and sell it. And the thing with me, I always try to keep like boxes for everything, because I always have that like reseller mindset, because one day I might need to go ahead and sell this. So luckily I was able to hold on to everything, the box and all the, you know, extra little accessories, and I just went ahead and I listed this for 69 bucks free shipping. The funny thing is, this used to sell for like right around 100 bucks, because that's what I picked up mine for on eBay, and now the price is kind of going down a little bit, only because, you know, they continuously making new condenser microphones and stuff like that. But if you guys ever find any Blue Yeti or anything Yeti or anything, basically anything Blue, like those Blue microphones, the brand is named Blue, definitely pick those up, because nowadays people are spending a lot more time online and like needing microphones for work or just doing voiceover work and stuff like that, so definitely stuff that sells super quick. Next up, we got this Canon Powershot camera, and this was also in one of my previous trip to the thrifts, maybe like 3 or 4 episodes ago. Spent I think 8 bucks on this camera, and it sold for $44.99 plus $9 shipping. The really good thing about this one is that, of course, it included the box, but it also had a memory card and the AV. I believe this was either the USB cables attached for this as well, so really good sale on this. And all those types of little accessories always add some value, and if you find the original box, that definitely adds a little more value to it as well. Without the box and extra accessories, I'll probably get closer to 30 bucks for this camera. Next up, we got some vintage pieces, and I had this for a very long time. Well, maybe not super long, but at least 7 to 8 months, so that's pretty long for me. This was one of those vintage Summer USA Games windbreakers, and I remember picking this one up because this was from the Atlanta 1996 games, and when I found this, I think I spent maybe 5 or 6 bucks on this, and I was super hyped because the comps were really strong. At that time, people was getting like closer to 100 bucks, like $90 listings, and nowadays, you know, people aren't really picking up a ton of jackets, but this one surprisingly sold, and it sold for $70 plus $7 shipping. So I knew I had to be a little patient with this. I was expecting it to sell a little faster, especially since, you know, Olympic stuff is around the corner and people are always kind of into that Atlanta 1996 stuff. But it finally did sell, and I'm happy about that. Next up, we got this brand new Carhartt overall, and I picked this up from the thrift. I spent like $30 on this. This was brand new with tags. Usually never spend that much money for coats and jackets like that. Very rare that I do, but glad that I did, because this one sold for $104 plus $9 shipping, and this one went overseas. I think I shipped this out via the global shipping program to like Pakistan or something like that. So I'm just glad that I'm enrolled in the global shipping program, because it kind of just opens you up to a wider market, because stuff like this usually wouldn't sell until maybe the fall or winter. But when you're selling stuff internationally, you kind of increase your odds of making more sales. Next up, we got this pair of Vapormax Utilities, and these sold for $129 plus $12 shipping. I actually picked these up a couple weeks ago when I was in Charlotte. I know I showed you guys that footage kind of late, but that was actually from 2 weeks ago, and I picked these up from Play-Dohs for $50. And my wife, she picked up a couple stuff for herself, but I only got a couple shoes that day from that video, as you guys seen. And this one sold pretty quickly, sold within about 3 to 4 days, so definitely happy with that. Probably could have listed it a little higher if I wanted to be more aggressive, because I know these shoes are super expensive. So probably could have got away with selling these for $150, but it sold pretty quick, so can't complain about that. Next up, we got this Sirius Xm Radio, and the thing with this one, I wasn't able to test it because I didn't have all the extra stuff to actually test this. I usually try to test all of my electronics. For the most part, I try to test everything, and this one I had no clue on how to test this one, so I just listed it as is. And the thing is, when you're selling things that you didn't test, or you're possibly selling it for parts, you got to be super specific with it, because you have to make sure that it's in your title, it's in your description, and you also got to make sure that it's in the item details as well, as you guys can see here on the screen. So this one sold for $70 plus $7 shipping. If I was able to test it out and it made sure that it worked, I could have definitely got well over $100 for this, but it is what it is. I think I spent $5 for this, so definitely a good amount of profit for me. Next up, we got the Nikon D50, and I picked this one up for $25 from one of my thrift stores that I like to go to. I always say you got to go super early to some thrift stores, and then other thrift stores you can kind of pop in throughout the day, but this one I had to go super early to even get this camera. Spent a little more than I would have liked to spend, but it is what it is. Was able to get $75 plus $9 shipping for this one, and this one included the camera, the bag, the charger, the batteries, even had the manual in this as well. And this one sold the very next day after listing it, and I probably could have got a little more since it had all of those extra stuff included with it, but sometimes I just try to list items kind of like based on the most recent comps, and people was getting right around $70 to $80 for this camera, especially in this condition, because it wasn't in the best condition. I just know it worked perfectly fine, but it did have some cosmetic flaws, so I had to keep that in mind with my pricing. And last but certainly not least, this is definitely my biggest sale of the week so far. This item sold for $220, and once again, it's an item that I'm not too familiar with. All I know that it is pro audio equipment, and just from personal experience, pro audio equipment can be super expensive. So I just typed in the name and the model number of this particular device, and like I said, I don't really know what this is, but once I typed in the comp and the model number on this one, I seen that these were selling for well over $200. Brand new, these were selling for like $300 and $400. So definitely wanted to price mine on the higher end, but I didn't want to price it too high to the point where it would just sit around forever. And this one sold super quick, so within about 2 days after listing it, so definitely happy with this. And the funny thing is, I only spent like $5 or $6 on this, because clearly the thrift store didn't know what they had, and it basically was a nice little black box. So I'm not surprised that the thrift store just kind of priced it cheap, but definitely glad that they did. Alright y'all, that's all I have for today's video. So if you guys enjoyed that one, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, if you guys are interested in copying any of the consistency tees, it's in the first link in the description. And don't forget to use code consistency10 for 10% off your order. And I actually just adjusted my prices. I just dropped the prices on everything. Kind of like a nice little flash sale going on. So if you guys are interested in copying any of those consistency tees, it's in the first link in the description. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
For the winner, cause you felt like you was losing. Only for the winner. Move just to keep from cooling. Like only for the winner, only for the winner, only for the winner. Boy, my heart is cold, and I'm too cool to sweat it. I should've never offered it. I'm tight and now I'm off this shit. You should wanna be a real one. Earn the bases hard, I still won. Tired of